Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you've been here before. Today's video is a bit of a different one, slightly. It's still within the normal framework of what I do, which is talking about the art of Pokemon cards. But today's video is a look at the work of Motofumi Fujiwara. Now, why this is different is that although I've collected together the 22 cards that Fujiwara has done for the Pokemon TCG, I haven't done it primarily because I'm a huge fan of their artwork. I quite like their artwork. I'm not going to knock it, but it's not particularly my thing. But I just find it very interesting, or I find them interesting within the confines of the history of Pokemon cards. And this is primarily the starting point to this, which is Fujiwara was the designer of Eevee. Now, you do a little bit of digging on the internet and you find out that Fujiwara has been working for Game Freak since 1992 as a designer, conceptual artist. And it is claimed that he is a designer of various Pokemon from every generation except Generation 7 is what I saw. And Bulbapedia points out that he is credited being the designer of Eevee, Flareon and Jolteon. Those are the only three that are definitely credited to him. Vaporeon is credited to Atsuki Nishida. But on the back of that, I put together, I thought, he's an instrumental part of the Pokemon creativity process. The father of Eevee, but the father of unknown other Pokemon. So I got together all the cards that he's illustrated. It in itself is an odd story because there's a huge gap. There's flurries of activity throughout the history of the last 25 years. So let us see where we start. We'll do a quick summary of the cards first. And actually I will pull them all out and we will... It's going to take me a moment. I could edit this. I'm not going to edit this. I'm going to bring all the cards out. Now, while I pull them out, I will just explain. I've collected in Japanese because obviously when I'm doing artist videos, I prefer to do the Japanese prints because they are the original prints of the authentic language that the cards were designed in. And therefore I feel they better represent the art and the overall design look of the card. The only card that I've got here that isn't going to be in Japanese is the Chikorita, which is quite expensive to buy in Japanese because it wasn't in a set like it was in English, it was in Expedition. That's just, I can't justify spending that much. Right, so last four. We will pull these out and then we will go through them chronologically because I have put them in chronological order. So we will close that up, put that over there, and actually I will bring the camera in. So sorry, yeah, bear with me. Right. Is that close enough? I think that's close enough. I'll hold them up to the camera so you can see better. Right, the first card, I'm going to refer to my notes here to make sure that I get this all right. His first cards he did was in 2001, July of 2001, for the VS series. And he did the Erica line, because in VS, the gym leaders, the same artist does all the cards from a particular gym leader. And he was assigned Erica, and he has only just two here, Blossom and Jumpluff. So they came out together in the VS. There it is, the VS. And those are the first two cards. And this is the Chikorita I was talking about. So this came out in English in Expedition, but in Japan it came out in the E-Starter deck of December 2001. I suspect Motofumi Fujiwara. There it is. I suspect he designed Chikorita, but I'll come to that later. I don't know. I'm not going to say for sure because I don't know. But some of these Pokemon I'm suspicious about that he is actually the designer of, and therefore that's why he was commissioned to do the card. And it would be interesting, if you want to leave a comment on this video, and you see this video, which virtually nobody does, if there are any Pokemon in here that you think might share a paternity with Eevee, just drop me the comment and explain why you think that the design of it looks like it was from the same mind that designed Eevee. So the next one we have here is a McDonald's promo. I think this is Japanese exclusive. And this came out in, obviously Sancho, came out in January of 2002. The next card we have is this Spinder. Now, so there's a little bit of a gap here. So there was those early ones in 2001, beginning of 2002. So they were all drawn around the same time. So 4 years later, in Mirage Forest, we got this little Spinder. Could it be designed by the same person who designed Eevee? I don't know. This was June 2005. And then we have the Hoppip. And the Hoppip was from Shining Darkness of July 2007. So this, Fujiwara is not doing a lot of cards. He's doing one every few years at this point. So this is the Hoppip. As you'll see, I mean, if you look at the way that he's drawn these four, he's gone for a slightly sort of curved horizon, fisheye lens sense of a grassy background. There seems to be a style that he falls back on for his settings. The Pokemon are very much straight on. There's nothing dramatic about the angles particularly so far. There is a style, so just bear that in mind as you see them, and you can see that there is a style that you could tell that these are by the same artist. Changes a little bit in a moment, but we'll see. The next one I've got here is the Dawn Dash Love Disc, and this was October 2007. And then we've got this one. Well, let's have a look at it without the plastic on. This is one of these sparkly ones. Yeah, it doesn't light up particularly in this light, but it twinkles a little bit. So this is the Fan Rotom. And the Fan Rotom was from Bonds to the End of Time in December of 2008. So these are around the same sort of time. We've got two cards here that both came out in Beat of the Frontier of March 2009, which is Supreme Victors in English. Now, this one is a holo, and this one isn't. But these actually look different in style slightly. I can tell that they are by the same artist, but this very bold outline and darkness is reminiscent of Yoshida's art at this time, Hironobu Yoshida, who was transitioning into a very heavy dark outline and a darker card. So I could have confused these with being Yoshida artwork. I'm sure Fujiwara and Yoshida know each other very well, but it's interesting that those two cards have a very distinctive style. The next one that came out is this Geodude from Advent of Arceus in July 2009. But not very exciting, but very bright mid-tone colours in these. Moving away from the sort of rather darker sense of those ones. Then we had a huge gap. So that was the last one from that period. That was 2009. This one, in Numal, was 10 years later, in April of 2019, in Sky Legend. I like Numal very much, and I quite like this card, actually. It's one of my favourite of his artworks. But Numal is a cute, derpy Pokemon. So that was the start of a flurry of activity from him as an artist. This came out in May of 2019. This was in Miracle Twin, Dratini, and I think he designed Dratini. And the reason I say that is, look at the eyes. It's those cartoon arched eyes, black with a highlight in. I'm not going to say for sure because I don't know, but I would suspect that he designed Dratini. So Dratini came out, as I say, in Miracle Twin of May 2019. The Pancham came out in Remix Bout of July 2019, and I do like this very much, but then I am biased because I love Pancham. I can hear the postman. The next card is I'm distracted because I heard the postman. Is Wheezing from Dream League of August 2019. Again, quite dark, very standard looking Wheezing card. The Eevee itself came out in Altergenesis of September 2019. Again, very dark, somber tones to that card. The Joltik, and this is one of the mirror foils which you got, I think 1 in 10 of the starter decks had were mirror foiled. But so the Joltik came out in the V Starter set Lightning, released in November of 2019. So these are all 2019 cards after a 10-year break. The Pawniard came out in the Shield deck. It was in Sword and Shield in English, but they were split into two separate, not decks, two separate sets in Japanese. And so this was in December of 2019. The Jigglypuff came out in Infinity Zone 6 months later, in June of 2020. Again, very clean, bright, standard looking art. Then there were a couple of these shinies, and these were from Shiny Star V in November of 2020. And yeah, they sort of homogenized the art style of everybody for Shiny Star V. Well, all these baby shiny stuff. The artists tend to lose their unique personalities in these cards. And then there was a little gap, and this was the last card that he did. And this was in Jet Black Poltergeist of April 2021, and is the Ghastly, obviously. So those are the cards. And just wonder, I mean, Joltik's got the same sort of eye shape as Eevee, in a way. I could imagine these three being by the same creator. So I just think it's a sort of detective thing of paternity. Who is responsible for these Pokemon? And there will be others, because he's known as a main designer of Pokemons throughout the generations, except for Generation 7 for some reason. So, and 7 would rule out. Now, is that Gen 7 or Gen 6? Do you know, I'm not sure. I should have got my head around this before I started the video, but I don't know. So anyway, my favourite cards here. I actually do like this Blaziken, probably because it's somewhat in the style of Yoshida, and I like Yoshida's artwork, but this isn't by Yoshida. But I think it works nicely as a holo. It's dramatic. Blaziken's a weird Pokemon. Long-legged chicken thing, kung fu chicken. Yeah, very strange Pokemon. But yeah, they're all, as I say, he's not an artist that I'm totally bowled over by, and I wouldn't, if there wasn't that sort of element of history and it wasn't so cheap to put this lot together, I wouldn't have done it. But I just think it's an interesting little video, and I do wonder why Pokemon are so cagey about who designed things. Because 95% of Pokemon, we don't know who was the actual designer, I guess. I mean, we know a couple of Nishidas and a couple of Sugumoris, and Yoshida. So there we go. That is a video looking at the artwork of Motofumi Fujiwara, who is best known for designing Eevee.